comes to beef prices, it seems they only go one way, and that's up.
I know for so many families who purchase their beef from the grocery store that the prices are higher than they have ever been, and they just keep continuing to rise. I am so incredibly thankful that we are able to raise beef here on our farm and have it processed. But even doing that, it's important for our budget to make sure that we stretch every single pound as far as we possibly can. A 2-pound package of hamburger or ground beef right here. This is how we get it from our processor. So I'm going to cook up this entire thing, and this is what we are going to use for all 3 of the recipes that we're making. So each dinner for 6 people, probably plus some leftovers, is going to get 3/4 of a pound of beef. Whether you are trying to save money at the grocery store or just stretch the meat that you already have in your freezer, I'm going to share my most simple hack with you, and that is just to add beans to the foods that you are already cooking. You're still going to get a really meaty, hearty dish. That beef is still in there, but I'm going to show you some simple and unique ways to add beans in some places without even noticing that you're doing so to your meals, so they are still absolutely delicious, nutritious, and they will stretch your beef much further, which means your budget goes a lot further as well. All right, the very first recipe that we are going to get started on today is a stuffed bell pepper skillet. This is just like making stuffed bell peppers, except so much easier. It all gets done in one skillet here. It's loaded with veggies, and it is a great way to make a lot of food with just a little bit of meat as your protein. And we're obviously going to be adding some beans in here too, but in a really unique way where you are not going to even know that they're there. First up, we are just prepping our veggies. These are onions that I grew, so I am just getting the skins off of them. I didn't grow storage onions, and so we are getting towards the end of the storage life on these. So be watching for a video coming up soon of what I am going to do with the rest, because I still have tons in my basement. And then I also want to point out, this is a video on how to stretch your groceries. And so it's worth pointing out that you should definitely be saving your veggie scraps. So your onion skins, your bell pepper tops, your carrot tops, your garlic paper, any kind of veggies that you're using in your cooking and there's a piece that you don't use, throw that into a Ziploc bag and put it in your freezer. And when you get like a gallon-sized bag full, then you know it is time for you to make broth. Doing it that way is like a free product for your kitchen and is perfect to have on hand this time of the year when it is officially soup season. I'm going to use my chopper for these onions. You guys know I love this thing. I will never cut another onion by hand. I do have a link and a discount code in the description below if you are interested. This thing is amazing. And I'm just going to get these onions cooking. To those onions, we are going to be adding about a cup of chopped bell peppers. I already have these chopped and frozen in my freezer, ready to go from the garden. So we're just going to pour those in. And again, that is something else that is so important if you're really trying to save on groceries. Even if you don't have a ton of space to grow, if you could have just a few plants, it really does make an impact on your grocery budget. Thankfully here I have a very large garden and I grow a huge amount of the food that we eat. And so when I need an onion or when I need some bell peppers, those are pretty much free products for me because I can grocery shop my garden. And so that makes such a big impact on our grocery bill. And that goes into canning as well. So this is a homemade home canned sloppy joe sauce that we're going to be putting into this recipe. And so this technically, I know it does, the bell pepper and the onion, all of that costs me money. I have to buy the seeds, or for the onions, I buy onion plants. I amend my soil. Like, I do have money into my garden. Obviously canning, like I have money in my jars and my lids. But overall, for me, I call it a free product because I don't have to go to the grocery store to buy it. I have it here on hand. And making it homemade, it always tastes so much better as well. If you don't have a homemade sloppy joe sauce for this recipe, you can definitely just run to the grocery store and grab some sloppy joe sauce. It will work just as well, and this recipe will still turn out fantastic. Another thing that I really love to do to save money on my meals and make them stretch further is to add in an unexpected, really finely diced veggie. So, of course, in a stuffed bell pepper skillet, bell peppers and onions are an obvious, but you may not expect to find squash or zucchini in there, and you're not really going to taste it in the end product anyways because it's going to be so finely diced and it's going to be covered with the strong flavors that are already in this recipe. But what it is going to do is add volume and make more food, and it's also going to add some extra nutrition in there for us. All right, and those are just gonna go in with my peppers and onions and cook together. This is gonna get seasoned with salt, pepper, and garlic. I'm going to show you what I think is a really unique way to use beans to stretch your dinner, and that is by adding them to sauce. So I have my jar of sloppy joe sauce. I'm going to put half of it in this skillet, and in the other half I'm going to put a cup of these Great Northern white beans, actually about a cup and a half. And then I'm going to use my immersion blender in here to turn this into a really thick, creamy, delicious sauce. My Instant Pot is done cooking these beans. I have let it naturally release. I'm gonna go ahead and see, there's a tiny bit more steam in there. We're gonna let that out. And then we're gonna open this up, and our beans are completely soft and finished cooking. The ingredient that goes into this dish is just some rice. I cooked that in my Instant Pot as well. I'm just gonna add this rice directly in. This was 2 cups of brown rice. And with just 2/3 a pound of ground beef, plus some other really simple ingredients that are really high in nutrition, we have a delicious dinner that's gonna feed my family of 6, and I can almost guarantee you that we are gonna have leftovers as well. To serve this, I'm gonna top it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese and some freeze-dried parsley. Let's taste it. This stuffed pepper skillet is absolutely delicious, and I think it's gonna be a hit with everybody in my family. It's got that sweetness from the sloppy joe sauce paired with all of the different textures from the rice and the veggies and the meat, and it is just so good. And because I am preparing 2 other meals today, I am gonna pack this up for my husband's lunch. So I love to have things ready for him to grab and go in case the dinner that I made the night before didn't have enough leftovers for lunch. I love to have options in the freezer. So these are perfect for that. I just got them off of Amazon. I'll link them below for you. But you can put your food in here, you can freeze it, and then you can pop these cubes out, throw them in a gallon size freezer bag. And when he needs something for lunch, he just grabs one, throws it in his lunchbox. Typically it is thawed by lunch and he can just warm it up in the microwave. Just so they look pretty when he takes them for lunch, I'm going to do a second topping of Parmesan and parsley as well. I do have a batch of these already made and frozen, so I could show you how nice they pop out of here. Just like that, and that is the perfect serving size for my husband's lunch. We are going in with more beans in our Instant Pot, this time black beans. The next recipe that we are going to make is a baked cornbread topped chili. This recipe is an excellent way to throw in a whole bunch of beans with your beef to stretch your meal further without really missing anything, because the beans add so much great flavor and texture. And then when you add that cheesy, crispy cornbread topping and bake it, it is absolute perfection. This is a recipe that everybody in my family requests for me to make often. It is delicious. All of my kiddos love it. And if you choose just one recipe from this video to make, I think it should be this one. So we're going in with our onion. Saute that around for just a bit. It doesn't need to be all the way soft. We're gonna go in with 2/3 of a pound of this ground beef. A 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I know everybody makes their chili different. Honestly, I don't think that I make it the same way each time I even make it. So make your favorite chili recipe if you like it with certain seasonings or certain ingredients. You can absolutely do it however your family likes. I have a jar of Rotel here that I canned up. This is just tomatoes and peppers. I made it mild because we don't like real spicy here. Or I should say I don't. My kids really, I have one kid who likes spicy food and my husband likes spicy food, but the rest of us prefer things pretty mild. We're gonna do a heaping cup of our Great Northern beans, a heaping cup of our black beans that we cooked. You could also add lentils to this. That would be really good as well. So this chili is gonna get a good bit of salt, pepper, the absolute smallest bit of this fire salt. This stuff is hot, but it smells so good. And so I want to just put like the tiniest bit in there just to add just the flavor. This hardcore carnivore black seasoning, we love this. A whole bunch of chili powder, a whole bunch of smoked paprika, some ground cumin, and then of course garlic. This is pretty thick, so I'm going to go in with just a little bit of water. And then we're going to turn the heat down to low and just let this sit here and simmer while we mix up our cornbread topping. While that chili is simmering, we are gonna get started on our cornbread topping. I have 1 stick of melted butter here. I'm gonna go in with a 1/3 cup of avocado oil, 2 eggs, a cup of milk, and then a cup of cornmeal, a cup of flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of baking powder, and then we're gonna mix that up until just combined. If you wanted to, you could stop right here, but we're gonna jazz this up just a bit with a can of corn and some shredded cheddar cheese. And the chili freezes really well in these cubes as well. All right, the next recipe that we are going to be making today is a beef and bean enchilada. These are going to be loaded with seasoned black beans, topped with that ground beef, and then wrapped up in a tortilla. Homemade is definitely best, and I do have recipes for those, but today we are doing quick and simple and easy and just using some store-bought tortillas. We're going to top that with your favorite enchilada sauce. For me, I'm using smoked enchilada sauce. Cover it in cheese and then bake it until it is bubbly and gooey and absolutely delicious. We melted down some bacon grease and added in our black beans, and we're gonna make like a refried beans situation here. I like to kind of mush them up a bit. Them with some garlic powder. I would use onion powder as well, but I ran out. And then going in with some salt and pepper as well. And we're gonna add the remainder of our ground beef. Paprika and cumin. I'm topping this with a jar of my homemade smoked enchilada sauce. And then lots of shredded cheese. Stretching meat with beans is one of my favorite ways to make our homegrown meat go further. And for those of you who are having to purchase from the grocery store, it will greatly decrease your grocery budget as well. Plus, beans bring fiber, plant nutrition, and a texture that pairs really beautifully with beef. I hope that these 3 recipes inspire you to make them in your own kitchen. If you do, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Let me know which ones you would love to be trying. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more homestead cooking content. Until I see you guys next time, may God bless.